So apparently, I almost signed up for a job I don't even have anymore. And that little moment at church got me thinking, how many of us are still living out identities from a version of ourselves that doesn't even exist anymore? And maybe the best question isn't, who was I, but who am I now? Hi, friends. Welcome to Taking Back Happy. I'm your host, Gina Granville, God's girl, retired homeschool mom of 4, empty nester, GG, essential oil and exercise enthusiast, Christian life coach, and someone who is taking back her own happy. I know many of you feel exactly like me in these midlife years, a sort of loss of direction, but you feel way too young and vibrant to sit on the porch and just watch life go by. What if you could reclaim your life, finding deep joy, renewed passion and purpose, and plenty of adventure in these midlife years? If you are ready to find your spark again, throw on those walking shoes, pop in those earbuds, and join me right here as we take back happy together. Hey friends, and welcome to Taking Back Happy. I want to connect with you. Hop on over to Facebook and join our Taking Back Happy Facebook group. It's a great place to get in there and meet other women who are taking back their own happy. Another way we can connect is by becoming a TBH Insider. When you become a TBH Insider, you get weekly emails for the latest podcast, tips on creating a happy mindset, early bird access to special offers, and encouraging Bible devos. The third way we can connect is through a discovery call, a Taking Back Happy discovery call. This is a 45-minute free call, and it just gives you an idea if this would be a good fit for you. As a Christian life coach, I'm here to walk alongside of you, to encourage you, equip you, also while helping you challenge those old mindsets. Okay, Taking Back Happy friends, let's get into it. Yesterday, I was sitting in church, and they had a little advertisement come up, and it was talking about a day that they were going to honor people that were teachers and teaching staff and people that did all that. And my first thought was, oh, I need to sign up for that. And then my second thought was, you're not even a homeschool mom anymore. You're not even teaching at a school anymore. You're not even doing that. Like, why are you wanting to sign up for something that you're not even doing? And I had to really check myself because it was so much a part of who I was that I just instantly went to that. I don't teach anymore, and I don't have kids at home anymore. So that brought me to the question, what happens when an identity that has defined you for years suddenly doesn't describe your life anymore? I'm thinking we don't just have roles, we literally build identities around them. There's nothing wrong with being a mom or a wife or a homeschool mom or a teacher, a caregiver, an employee, a business owner, a volunteer, a church leader, a helper, a daughter, a friend. But the problem comes in when we unconsciously turn "this is something I do" into "this is who I am." Because then when our role changes, our identity gets shaken. Our kids grow up, our marriages change, our careers end, our parents age, our businesses may close, people retire, friendships change, our bodies change, our responsibilities change. And suddenly we're asking, if I'm not doing that anymore, who am I? That's a very midlife question. And I'll take a step even further. Some identities aren't even roles. We don't only identify ourselves by external roles. Sometimes we develop internal identities, things that we believed about ourselves for so long that we don't even question them. For example, I'm the people pleaser. You learned that keeping everyone happy made you feel safe, loved, or accepted. So you became the one who accommodates everyone. And then eventually, you don't even know what you want. People pleasing was a huge part of my identity because I felt like that was like selfless and kind and putting others first. But in reality, over the last few years, I've learned it's been more about me than about others. It's been more about how I feel, how it makes me feel. If I'm a people pleaser, then I'm keeping everybody happy and they all love me. And so it was kind of like a little false identity that I've been living with. Another one could be like, I'm not confident. Maybe someone told you you weren't smart enough or talented enough or attractive enough or even outgoing enough. And eventually you stop trying things because, well, that's just not who I am. Or I'm the responsible one. You became the one who handles everything. Everyone calls you when something needs fixing, and eventually being needed becomes part of your identity. Another one could be, I'm the good girl. You don't disappoint people. You don't like make waves. You always follow the rules. You suppress what you really think because being good feels safer than being authentic. Or how about this one? I am the strong one. Everyone depends on you. You don't ask for help. You don't let people see you struggle. And eventually, you don't even know how to be anything other than strong. Here's another one. I'm the one who always gets overlooked. This one can become particularly dangerous because eventually you don't just experience rejection or disappointment. You start expecting it. You start looking for it. And you begin viewing your entire life through that identity. And here's the tricky part. Identities become self-fulfilling. So we tend to behave in ways that are consistent with the story that we've told ourselves. If I believe I'm not confident, well, I don't take risk. If I don't take risk, I don't experience success. And then I say, see, I'm not confident. Or if I believe I'm a people pleaser, I keep saying yes when I mean no. And I start to become resentful. And then I think people are always trying to take advantage of me. The identity reinforces the behavior, and the behavior reinforces the identity. It's like a loop. We get stuck in a loop. I've done that before with not only with people pleasing, but like if it's something I feel really confident in, if it's something I'm comfortable with, like when I was homeschooling or, maybe teaching Bible study at church or something like that. And I'm like, oh, I can do it. And so someone asked me to do it. So I'm like, well, of course I can do it. So I should do it. And that's just a falsehood. We're not supposed to do every single thing that comes in front of us as an opportunity. In fact, if we're doing that, we're keeping somebody else from having that blessing, right? So that's a good way to not only make yourself feel like used and abused, but it's your own fault. Like you're the one that's putting yourself in that place. So it's good to really think about and analyze the things that you do so you don't get stuck in that loop. So here's the question. How do we break out of an identity that no longer serves us? So the first thing we need to do is we need to notice the identity. And we need to ask ourselves, what have I been telling myself about who I am? Not what I do, but who I am, who I believe I am. We can say to ourselves, I'm the kind of woman who, dot, 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 and then fill in the blank. And we don't want to just put positive things in there. We want to listen for the negative ones too. I'm the kind of woman who always blah, blah, blah. Or I'm the kind of woman who never, I'm just not, I'm terrible at, I'm not someone who's, all those statements can reveal a lot about ourselves. The second thing we want to do is ask ourselves, where did that identity come from? This is really important because many of our identities were handed to us. Maybe it came from our childhood, or it came from our parents or our teachers. Maybe it comes from our friends, maybe a former spouse, maybe a painful relationship, a failure, a rejection, a comparison, just certain expectations for a woman, a season in life. I want to caution you here, just because you learned something about yourself doesn't mean it's the truth about you. So the third thing we can do is separate our role from our identity. And, this kind of brings it back to what I was talking about at the beginning. Yes, it's true. I was a homeschool mom. That's real. That was important to me. It mattered. It was a very important role to me, but it was a role. It wasn't the entirety of my identity. And I'm learning that now after all these years. But as that season has changed, I have to ask, who am I becoming rather than how do I get back to who I was? Many times we can't go back. And that's good news. We don't want to go back. We want to continue to go forward and try new things and find out like who we are, right? Who are we beyond being a homeschool mom? That sort of thing. So, lastly, let's, look at replacing our old identity with truth. And we know that when we're looking for truth, we can always look for who God says we are. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Ephesians 2:10, we are God's workmanship created for good works. 1 Peter 2:9, we are chosen, royal, holy, and God's own possession. Psalm 139:14, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And I think there's an important distinction here. You're not trying to manufacture a brand new identity. You're just really discovering the identity that God already gave you beneath all the labels, beneath all the things that you've done, beneath all the identities you've taken on over the years. So I want to challenge you a little bit. I want to challenge you to give yourself permission to experiment. This could be really fun. You've spent decades being a mom, a wife, a homeschooler, a caregiver, an employee. You fill in the blank, but you may not immediately know what comes next. And that is okay. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to figure out your entire identity. You can try things. You can take a class. You could go on a trip. You could travel. You could join a group. You could start a podcast. You can learn something new. You can volunteer. You can paint, hike, travel, read something that you've always wanted to read. Do something that you really want to do badly. You notice I said travel twice. That's obviously something that comes up for me. But because sometimes that action creates clarity, you don't always think like your way into the next identity, like, oh, I think I want to be this. Sometimes you really have to try new things and try your way into it. So when I walked into church and I thought, oh, I need to sign up for Teacher Appreciation Day. And then I realized, wow, that's not my life anymore. Instead of like being sad and having this sad realization, what if it's actually an invitation? Maybe the question isn't, who am I now that I'm not that anymore? Maybe the question is, who is God inviting me to become now? That is the beautiful part of midlife. You aren't starting over. You're bringing everything that you've learned into this new season. And you don't have to throw away the woman you were. You don't have to say, oh, I'll never teach again. Maybe you're going to teach in a different way. Maybe you're going to teach in your church, or maybe you're going to teach women, or maybe you're going to do a podcast where you're teaching. There's different ways that you can fulfill what you did before, but you also don't have to stay confined to that identity either. So, my friends, maybe taking back happy isn't about going back to the woman you used to be. Maybe it's about becoming the woman God is calling you to be now. You don't have to keep carrying an identity that no longer fits. You don't have to be the people pleaser or the fixer or the responsible one. You don't have to be the woman that has it all together or even the woman you were in a previous season of life. You are more than what you do. You are more than what has happened to you. And you are more than all those labels you've carried. So if you find yourself asking, who am I if I'm not that anymore? Maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe it's not a crisis. Maybe it's actually just an invitation to discover who you are in Christ and who you are becoming and what God still has ahead of you. That's the exciting part, because taking back happy isn't about getting your old life back. It's about taking back the freedom you have to live fully the life that you have now. And my taking back happy friends, there's still a whole lot of happy ahead. If this podcast blessed and encouraged you today, I'd love for you to share it with your friends. You can take a screenshot and share it in your stories, but make sure you tag me at Gina Granville so we can connect. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure you join my Taking Back Happy Facebook group. I'll meet you back here soon, and we'll continue taking back happy together.